Hello, everybody. I hope this is working. Something didn't seem to make noise. Hang on a second. Yeah, okay, I got sound. Good. I have to test that because I always screw up with audio and lighting and cameras. It's not my strong suit. It's Friday. And sometimes Friday becomes Friday Fire, but I got taken down a tangent last week in a slide I shared, and it triggered a lot of questions, and I'm going to answer those questions today, which opened up a whole can of worms, good worms, not bad ones, for you all today. So this one is an interesting Friday Fire, and it has two, maybe three very important wealth hacks that make investing so much easier. But there's also some crazy Bitcoin news going on, and it had me thinking all night too, so haven't slept very much. Coffee levels are good. Hello, Australia. Hello, New Zealand. Hello, Spain. Hello, Liverpool. Hello, Rusted Woods. And congratulations on your big threshold of Moto 89. Thank you all for coming. It's Friday. Let's get into the story. This is called Do You Want to Win? And it's an interesting one, trust me. It's different than the normal videos, so watch for that. And this is not financial advice. And shout out to Faisal Salim. Very nice to have you on board. Faisal says, kill this, just join Patreon. Yes, thank you for being part of the team. And I love that we got people from everywhere. Let's go. First of all, Fear and Greed is up to 67. Last Friday was at 60. So we're making progress. And people are getting greedy, and we all know what that means. FOMO times coming in. Stock market Fear and Greed is up to 43. It was at 26 last week. So that's getting stronger too. It's as if all of a sudden, all the tariff tensions and tariff tantrums and tariff fears went away. And that's what happens. Okay, yes, the macro is catastrophic. It's way worse than you imagine. But the money, the liquidity is pumping everything up. And that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. And it's only just begun too. So remember that while investing. And let's start with some crazy, brilliant news as well while we're here to tee things off. This is literally just came in over the wire from Vizzo, the Bitcoin historian. $3 trillion Apple lifts iOS restrictions that banned in-app Bitcoin and crypto payments. Okay, this is really big. I don't know if many of you use Apple Pay. I've seen people use Apple Pay all over the world. It's like a go-to standard. And they must process so many transactions. But imagine now, at the flick of a switch, it won't be hard to turn iOS, your iPhone, into a crypto payments mechanism, which in turn will drive adoption crazy. That's the big piece of news here. But there's more. ETFs pulled in nearly $4 billion in the last 2 weeks. It has been a crazy good 2 weeks, and we've only had two other periods in time that have been this strong. But remember, $4 billion doesn't buy as much Bitcoin as it did back in January, February 2024, because Bitcoin's a lot more expensive right now. In fact, Bitcoin's at 97,000. We're $3,000 away from 100K. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, by the way. Maybe I missed my calling as a rapper. Anyhow, MicroStrategy and IBIT are front-running everybody. This is shout out to James Check on Chain. He talks about the positive trend now. The MicroStrategy and ETF bid is driving things bonkers. This is the scale of capital inflows versus distribution. Distribution has all but stopped. It's all acquisition now. Hence, the price is back. Is it tied to liquidity? Probably. Yes. 80% chance. But it's also very much tied to the amount of buying that's happening on the Bitcoin ETFs and MicroStrategy. But there's way more than just those players. And that's what we're going to get into today. And then we're going to get into some other fun stuff. And also, this is another kind of interesting piece here. This chart shows you the Bitcoin perpetual futures funding rates. They've been negative, all right? Now, what negative funding rates mean, the shorts are paying $1.7 million a day to go short Bitcoin. Now, you might think, oh, that's scary. That's bad news. No. Sort of it is, but sometimes there are traders, there are hedge funds that don't quite know what they're doing. And not only are the futures traders expressing a very large short side bias, but they're paying that $1.7 million a day to be short. Now, what happens next is the fun part, because eventually they give up the ghost. It's like, I'm dropping a lot of coin to go short this Bitcoin stuff, and it keeps going up. Then they break, and then they have to cover. They have to jump back and cover, and that drives the price up even further. So we love short squeezes here on this channel. Let's wait for the next one. It's coming soon. This can't stay negative for long. And when the funding rate goes positive, then the carry trade comes in, and the hedge funds start buying the ETFs, etc., etc. Same deal we've seen last couple of years. Now, another crazy news, as if it couldn't get better, Senator Cynthia Lummis says President supports her Bitcoin purchase of 1 million Bitcoin. Now, there's a lot of confusion there because there's talk of buying 1 million Bitcoin, but they have 208,000 that they've confiscated in the past. So maybe they just need to buy about 800,000. Either way, it's a lot. But to build at least 800,000 Bitcoin bag at this stage of the game is next to impossible. It would require a lot of money. You'd need something like, I don't know, a money printer to make that happen. Oh, yeah, US has one. So they're good there, but 1 million Bitcoin, wow. And what we've seen so far with this administration is they say promises made, promises kept. They are keeping to their word with everything that they do. And the pace, I always look at the rate of change and the pace of change and the pace of which things are happening are nothing short of amazing. But they better move fast because there's other players playing the game. And this sets up a big part of the story. Let me put myself in the top left. This is the new capital raising target for MicroStrategy from the earnings call yesterday. Through the end of 2027, 42 plus 42. By the way, last time they had the 21 plus 21, 21 billion of equity, aka ATM, tapping the ATM, selling shares to buy Bitcoin, and 21 billion of fixed income. They blew through 21 billion. They said they'd do it in a year. They blew through it in 12 weeks approximately. All right. It's just fast. So they're moving way faster than anybody can expect. And I've seen Saylor smile since November 2024 because I think he knows something is up. And I think he knows there are big players coming in. And I know he understands game theory because he's been on the channel and we've discussed it. He's getting as much as he possibly can as quickly as he can before anybody else can get their hands on that Bitcoin. Now they've doubled the 21 plus 21, 21 that's already gone. Now it's going to be $42 billion of equity and $42 billion of fixed income. And the insurance companies are falling over each other and the traditional firms that need fixed income on the assets that they pull in from other customers like insureds, etc. It is crazy. And that is the best fixed income gig in town. And the whole earnings call yesterday was all about that. And that's why I think it's definitely going to disrupt the bond market, the treasury market, whatever you want to call it. But there's more, which is kind of nuts. MicroStrategy loss widens as revenue falls. As I've been saying for years, earnings don't matter with this company. It's a Bitcoin treasury firm. It's not a software company. And mainstream media, they've really, I don't know what's going on with them, but they've really lost the plot. And now they're becoming very, I don't know if the word stupid is correct or misleading. But anyway, they obviously don't have a clue what they're doing. And this is after a deliberately false article was kicked out 2 nights ago about Elon Musk leaving Tesla. And it's referred to as an extremely bad breach of ethics that a media rag would do such thing. But anyway, enough waste of time on Wall Street Journal. I was a subscriber for decades. It's now gone. Looking at any media these days is poison. Just look at the data. And that's what we share here. Now, back to MicroStrategy and this $42 billion. That basically would soak up the next 3 years of Bitcoin issuance. So if you imagine the current price, 21 billion ATM, 21 billion preferred, the ATM alone could buy 221,000 Bitcoin. Then the convertible, another 221,000 at today's prices, call that 440,000. Coincidentally, again, the numbers, they don't tell a lie. 440,000 plus their nearly 560,000 gets them to 1 million Bitcoin, which is confident what Cynthia Lummis wants to get to, 1 million Bitcoin. The question is who will hit it first. But there's more players that want to get their hands on this stuff. It's really, I've never seen game theory like this in my life. 25 years ago at Wharton, we studied game theory. It burnt my head thinking about it. And now I understand exactly how it works. And not just MicroStrategy, but also you got these states, not just the US government with the SBR. You've got the states reserve race. Arizona, number 1. New Hampshire, number 2, popping in from nowhere. North Carolina, number 3. Texas, number 4. Alabama, number 5. Go Bama. They apparently have a very good college football team. And shout out to Jack as well in Alabama. But I tried to put together a crude little update map on this as well to tell us where we are. So Arizona is definitely the most advanced effort. They've got 2 things that just need to be signed by the Governor Hobbs right now. And of course, he's going to sign it. Then Texas has 7 bills active. North Carolina want to invest up to 10% of their assets, and they're waiting for the full legislative vote. Alabama's under House review. New Hampshire, they passed the Senate committee to allow Treasury investment in Bitcoin. And North Dakota, 1 active bill. 2 others failed, but details limited, early stages. But either way, Arizona is pretty much in the bag. Texas will follow. North Carolina after that. It's nothing but goodness. And these are just some of the players coming. And I'm not even talking about other countries around the world. Then, speaking of other countries around the world, you got MetaPlanet out of Japan. Guess what? They're opening up a Bitcoin bagging facility in the US, i.e. a subsidiary that is designed to do nothing else but set up as a legal entity. Yes, go Arizona. And buy Bitcoin. So MetaPlanet not only are doing this on the ground in Japan at a ferocious rate, but they're going to start doing it in the US as well. I think they're going to be based in Miami, Florida. So it's good to see global companies setting up shop in the United States. Bit of a trend happening right now too. And MetaPlanet keeps on Sayloring. They just issued another 3.6 billion in bonds to buy more Bitcoin. People just want to sell that crappy bond stuff so they can snag some hard stuff, Bitcoin, on and on. And this trend is insane, like nothing I've ever seen before. Here's a short, little, rough list. Now, what kept me awake thinking all last night is the massive players are coming for Bitcoin. This morning, I shared a post on Patreon looking at how much Bitcoin has moved in the past 5 years plus. And the answer is very little. How much has moved in the last, say, 3 to 5 years, etc. And basically, if you take the last 3 plus 5 years plus whatever, nearly half of all Bitcoin has not moved. So when these players come in and the US government wants to buy 1 million Bitcoin, Michael Saylor wants to buy another 440,000 Bitcoin, CEP, the 21 company, wants to match Michael Saylor and try to get to 500,000 plus Bitcoin, which could soon be a lot more than that. MetaPlanet buying like crazy, setting up a US shop. You got BlackRock bought 610,000 Bitcoin in 14 months. You got the US SBR, as I mentioned before. You got North Carolina, Texas, Arizona, and New Hampshire, and so much more. Then you got GameStop. Everybody's waiting for them to pull the trigger and actually buy. Semler Scientific, Marathon. They're not only mining Bitcoin, they are buying it as well. I mentioned MetaPlanet. You got Jet King in India. You got a new French group called Blockchain Group. Blockchain Group have very ambitious plans. You think some of these little international firms want to buy a little bit here and there. These guys want to be as big as MicroStrategy, and you got Cooler and so many more. There are now, I think, over 210 different treasury companies, governments, etc., that are stacking Bitcoin. It is bonkers. And we are early, very early. That's why it's crazy. Where is all this Bitcoin going to come from? That's why I couldn't sleep last night. Even just the 6 players alone here I have listed, they're going to buy up the next 8 years of supply. Okay? Assuming nobody else sells. Of course, people will take lifestyle chips as the price goes up. But anyway, it's going to be fun to watch. So stay healthy, my friends. Sit back, eat your popcorn. It's going to be a fun time. Now, getting back to the story, this little chart I shared yesterday, shout out to Sanjay who kicked it my way. People asked me to add stuff to it. please can you add MicroStrategy? Please can you add NVIDIA? Please can you add Tesla, etc. So guess what? That's what I did. I even added Solana, but I took the percentages off because people get too deranged when they see those. And of course, not everybody bought when it first came out in 2021, etc. But anyway, or late 2020. But the point is I left some of the others in here. And what's interesting about this chart is it tells a couple of very important lessons when it comes to investing. So first of all, compounding. I've made a whole video about the miracle of compounding. It rewards discipline, not brilliance. So I'm getting to kind of the first big wealth hack as well. And the curve here proves that sometimes staying invested and avoiding drawdowns can matter more than huge wins, but also staying the course. Like, for example, with me, I first got into MicroStrategy in 2020, and I held through the bear. It was painful, but I never sold. I held. And then at the bottom of the bear, I bought a crap ton more. That was the difference. And then if you have a long-term mindset, okay, when it comes to investing, bear markets typically shake out weak hands, but those who hold and rebalance and double, triple, quadruple, or 10x down, like me, benefit from outsized returns after. As long as you have conviction in those winning assets, hold the course. And the other thing as well, small differences in returns have a massive impact. So the difference between, say, 15% annually compounded for 5 years and 25% is exponential. It's not linear. It goes exponential. And there's so much to take away from this. A couple of quick things you can see here. If you look at the red box, you'll see the bear market of 2022. All MicroStrategy, NVIDIA, Bitcoin, and Tesla all went down the same amount. Okay? If you look at 2020, the biggest crushing winner was Tesla, up 751%. If you take 2023, the crushing winner was MicroStrategy, up 293%. NVIDIA, supposed to be the best stock performer in the whole world, 236% in 2023. But MicroStrategy, 505% in 2024 versus 187%. But the point is, when you have a year of doing 100%, 120%, 230%, 187%, that results in thousands of percent. So $100 invested early in this name becomes an awful lot more. So you do have that bear market. Some things hold up really well in the bear market, like oil, who's up 6.7%, but down basically flat over the last 5 years, or down year to date. Also, the year to date numbers were a buying opportunity. MicroStrategy, okay, is up 28% year to date, but NVIDIA down 18% year to date. Tesla down 20% year to date. Oil down 19% year to date. Again, a very mixed bag. Now, a visual of this as well to show you where and of course, the big winner of all of these is 2,661%, MicroStrategy over the last 5 years. NVIDIA, 1,734. Bitcoin, 1,251. And Tesla, 556. Tesla looks like a terrible performer, but it's been a rough couple of years as they pivot themselves into a brand new company. And which ones do I own? Sol, MicroStrategy, NVIDIA, Bitcoin, Tesla. Those puppies make up way over 90% of my wealth, okay? That is the secret. And the secret first lesson is, if you are in the winning assets, it makes investing a lot easier. And not having a bag of 60 different things where 90% of them go down, that's no good either. So be in the winning assets. Really focus on that. This is the return per year. All were volatile as heck, but some really didn't do anything. But as Michael Saylor says, volatility is vitality. The biggest bar there is blue. That's Tesla. And there are no such thing as coincidences in life. Orange is MicroStrategy. And they had a great Orange is 2024. Yeah. 2024 is the orange year. Blue year is the 2020 year. Not the Tesla colors, but I just playing with orange being Michael Saylor's tie, etc. Anyhow, the point is these things are volatile. So don't be shaken out. Don't be afraid. When they do fall down a lot and the thesis doesn't change, you stay in the game, everybody, and you buy more. That's the key. And the ROI since January 2020, again, you can see very clearly, as I mentioned before, MicroStrategy won the day, NVIDIA, Bitcoin, Tesla, and then NASDAQ, technology disruption. A lot of people are so excited about gold, but you see, gold is pretty much between NASDAQ and the S&P 500. So NASDAQ has outperformed gold, despite gold having its best year in over 15 years, maybe 20 years. So that is where we are right now. Now, let's move on to the key thing is, again, if you're back winning assets, if you get into winning assets and just hold them, it makes investing far more simpler. And the other thing that's kind of interesting too is with all the stuff happening with Bitcoin and MicroStrategy and proxies, my thesis of selling at the top of the bull has been modified heavily because, you know, with these stackers happening, coming in, and I just shared basically 6 of them will buy up the next 8 years of supply. That means there may not be a bear market. And even Michael Saylor said the other day, he said, yeah, Bitcoin's going to 180,000 probably this year. Then it's going to fall to 140,000. People are going to lose their minds. So think about that. Okay, this is like the previous chart I shared. The volatility. This one. Things go up, things go down. But if you go from where we are now, 97,000 to 180 and fall back to 140, don't fret. Then you know you're going back to 180 eventually. So being winning assets makes investing far simpler. Now, the next thing that's kind of fun to share in today's special edition is DCAing, the power of DCA. For those who don't have the time to look at the markets all day long, got a cool message from somebody yesterday who listens to my videos working on a dairy farm, milking cows. And he said, thank you for increasing the volume because it's very noisy in the place where the cows are. And I thought it was cool. Imagine somebody milking cows listening to me. Very honored. And thank you for your cow service and whatever you do. Anyway, this from Bitcoin Magazine Pro. $10 invested per day into Bitcoin over the past 5 years would have turned 18 grand into 61,000. Okay, that's the power of DCA. And then people asked, well, what would happen if you did $10 per day? And by the way, I'm acutely aware that $10 a day is a lot for some people. That's $300 a month. It's a lot, but the average DCA amount for people in the world is somewhere between $50 and $200 a month. So just bear that in mind. But this is just for illustration purposes. And remember, if we talk $10, you can scale it back to $1 or $100 a day. So if you're talking $1, you're turning $1,800 into 6,100. If you're talking $100, you're turning 180K into 610,000. So again, just divide by 10 to get where you want to be. Now, if you take $10 per day in that same time period into MicroStrategy, you turn 11,850 into 108,000, which is a 10x versus the previous one, which is a 3x. So MicroStrategy did a 10x while Bitcoin did a 3x. That's crazy. But what happens if I told you could do something even better? This is a little bit of a different story. This is DCAS. So, and again, I upped the ante from $10 to $100. And if you did $100 DCA over that same time period into Bitcoin, $100, you get $751,000 using DCAS. If you DCA $100 a day into Bitcoin, you get 48,500, which is 10x what was on the previous slide. So DCAS here means you spend slightly more, but you get 30% more Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin goes from 5 Bitcoin to 7.75 Bitcoin, which is actually it's more than 50% more Bitcoin. That's a typo. More than 50% more Bitcoin. But you spent, instead of 170 grand, you spent 191,000. And always watch the ROI. The ROI is what matters, the return on investment. 192% versus 295%. And 192% ROI is basically a 3x. 295% ROI is a 4x, okay, because you take out your initial capital. So that's very important. Now, what would happen if you did $100 a day, and I know it's a lot of money, just bear with me for the example, into MicroStrategy? This is where it gets pretty nutty. And that's kind of a fun example. And these were questions I got. People asked me to run the model for this. So I'm not doing this just to tease or whatever. But if you had $100 a day and you DCA on steroids into MicroStrategy, okay, you would basically be getting, and make sure I read these shares carefully. And hang on, I gotta blow this up. A little bit small. You would get DCA, $100 a day. You get 2,777 MicroStrategy shares. Take 2,000, call it 3,000 shares, multiplied by the price today, about $400. Yeah, that's a lot of money. It's about 1.2, just under, about $1 million. If you use DCAS, you get 7,441 shares, but you're spending more. Okay, so the DCA model helps you spend less when markets are frothy and buy more when deals are crazy. So yes, you spend more, but you get more. You get a lot more shares, and your ROI goes from 830% to 1130%. And that would turn what would be under DCA $1 million bag after spending $116,000. Under DCAS, you spend $230,000 and you get a $3 million bag. So that's the power of DCAing carefully with your money. And another little life hack. And let's get to the final one. And this is kind of an interesting one too, is the meme du jour, I'm not selling. And I know diamond hands are stupid. You don't want to hold on to losing assets. But sometimes you can plan on a profit-taking strategy for a winning asset. But with what I've portrayed here today, the amount of money coming after Bitcoin changes the calculus. Will we get a bear market with a 60, 70% drawdown? 70% drawdown? The answer is no. I don't see that happening. Unless, of course, we have a crazy blow off top of, like, we go to $1 million and we could fall down to 300,000 or something. But that's unlikely. But the point is, what are we going to do in the future? I don't know. But I will let you know what I'm doing. So hit the like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the Friday show. A little bit different today. But these were questions that triggered answers that I thought were worth sharing. So hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you all. Happy Friday. Thank you to the great mods in the chat. TND Tesla, K8, Sean D, and everybody else. Hope you enjoy all over the world the show. And remember, be in the winning assets and try to get into them real early. All right. That's all we do here, is spend all our time uncovering the good stuff and ignore the bad stuff. And sometimes as well, good stuff can be great, but only for a limited period of time. And then they wither and die. So watch for that too. Thank you all for coming. Have a good night. Bye-bye.